Hello everyone, patching into today's fourth video. So it's been a very busy day at GFS today. We're doing Ensembles Watch for our fourth and final video for this Sunday evening. So we're going to go through all 20 plus members of the GFS Ensembles, see what they're all showing as we go from the first week just about into the second week of February. So again, I will get on that for you very shortly. Just to say that the other videos released today, so the first one was the Forbes Spring Analogues Update. That's going to be placed on the Spring Updates page with a written summary very shortly. In the next few minutes, I would have thought. And also we will have, we also release GFS City Roundup as well. And also a little update for the summer. So there have been loads of updates. You can find them all on the YouTube channel or at GFS.com. And yeah, it's been a really busy old day. So I hope you've been enjoying the updates today. Right, so starting us off with Ensembles Watch is the operational GFS run. So we are at wetessential.de. And we're starting in around a week's time, Sunday the 2nd of February. We're assuming that the pattern's pretty much nailed in up to that point. So this is where we begin, Sunday the 2nd of February, a week away. And the operational GFS, remember this is run at the highest resolution of all GFS Ensemble members. And this is showing very mild conditions in a week's time. We've got high pressure centred over France and Spain. Low pressure out to northwest Scotland. And we're drawing up this very mild southwesterly wind from the middle of the central Atlantic Ocean. It goes a little bit colder as we run up towards day 10. Cold front moves southwards and we pull down a bit of a north to northwest wind. So having a go at putting off a cold snap, but it's not quite going to come off because this high pressure is never reaching far enough north. So by the time you get through to day 10, we're already starting to invade milder air from around the top of the high once again. As we move into extended range with the operational GFS run, this high pressure that sticks around southern England could keep some frosty weather going there, otherwise it's relatively mild further north. And then we go into a more unsettled spell again as we get through to the end of the operational GFS run. Gets us to Tuesday the 11th of February and we're back into those mild west-southwesterly winds once again. So that's how the midday operational GFS is looking. Let's have a look at all other ensemble members, beginning with the control run. So remember, this one is run at a higher resolution compared to all other GFS ensemble members, but at a lower resolution compared to the operational run. So we begin on Sunday, less of a southwesterly next Sunday, so not quite as mild, and there's a cold front coming in off the Atlantic as well, bringing a band of quite wet and windy weather. As we run through with the GFS control run, we push this area of low pressure eastwards. How we go again at developing a cold snap here. So low pressure is running in across southern parts of England there, just beyond day 10, around the 6th of February. And that is putting down some proper northerly winds. So this does pull off a cold snap through the first week of February. The GFS control run pulls off cold snap. Winds swinging to the north, a ridge. Notice how much further north the ridge is going, up towards Iceland. Not a block, but the ridge is pushing northwards, and that allows this northerly to plunge southwards. So this is kind of like a northerly toppler scenario, I would have thought. It goes cold for a few days, or a couple of days, as winds swing to the north, and then the high pressure topples. That's why we call it a toppler. The high pressure topples, cuts off the northerly, but probably gives us a spell of frosty weather as we go into the second week of February. Let's have a look as we get to the end of this particular GFS run. Probably quite cold for England and Wales under this ridge here. That would be producing a fair amount of frost. It's a little bit milder further northwards, but the GFS control run is definitely colder than the operational run here for the first week of February and into the second week of the month. Right, ensemble member number 1 looks stormy next weekend. Low pressure to the north of Scotland. We're bringing wet and windy weather. Then we see, let's run up towards day 10. Excuse me, we find high pressure building both to our north and to our east, so we're trying to build up some higher pressure to the northeast, but low pressure continues to drive in from off the Atlantic, keeping us mild, wet and windy up to day 10 with ensemble member number 1. As we move into the extended range of ensemble member number 1, we keep it unsettled. Low pressure continues to drive in from off the Atlantic, but low pressure going southwards as well, so it is starting to turn a bit colder here as we get into the second week of February. It's not a desperately cold scenario, but we are beginning beginning to move the jet stream southwards, and heights are just rising a little bit to our northeast. That could possibly be poised to set up a colder spell for the middle of February with ensemble member number 1. Ensemble member number 2 looks quite stormy next Sunday. Low pressure's exiting into the North Sea, putting down gale force winds from the northwest, so quite stormy next weekend with that one. Then we go up towards day 10, and again, same idea, jet streams digging southwards, taking low pressure southwards too. We're starting to pull colder air in towards Scotland anyway at day 10. And as we go into the more extended range, so we get actually a little spell of northeasterly winds there. They could bring some snow showers to eastern parts of the country around the 6th of February. And then low pressure coming back in off the Atlantic. That's coming into quite cold air, so that might deliver some sort of snow. You notice where these low pressures on ensemble member number 2 are moving northwest to southeast. So again, ridge bills behind it, winds going to the northeast. That looks quite cold and wintry as we move into the second week of February. But we end up with ensemble member number 2 back in a mild west-southwesterly. Nevertheless, there is some cold weather there through the first week of February with ensemble member number 2. Ensemble member number 3 looks mild, very mild, on Sunday next week, and quite unsettled as well. Stormy there around the 3rd of February. Let's see what happens beyond that. So ensemble member number 3 keeps things quite flat up to day 10, which is going to be the 5th of February. We're bringing in westerly winds, so that's quite mild up to day 10 with number 5. And into the more extended range, we just keep wind in from the west with ensemble member number 3. So this one just quite unsettled, wet, stormy, quite windy as well. From the first week into the second week of February, that's a milder option. Ensemble member number 4 looks very mild next weekend on Sunday, quite wet and windy potentially too. Moving up towards day 10, we're starting to try and get some ridging going to our south and east. However, the Atlantic still looks quite buoyant, and as we move beyond day 10, low pressure continuing to drive in from off the Atlantic. The jet stream is moving southwards though, with this ensemble member. His black line is the jet stream. That is shifting southwards and taking those areas of low pressure somewhat further south with them. Or with it. So this one is getting a little bit cold. It takes a very long time to do it, but as we go into the second week of February, this one is getting colder. Looks very wet for England and Wales, and colder for the north. Risk of some snow across the northern parts of the country, perhaps, as we go into the second week of February with number 4. Ensemble member number 5 looks very unsettled next weekend. Quite mild, wet, and windy. We keep these areas of low pressure driving in from the Atlantic, and very stormy there around the 3rd of February. That's a proper winter storm with severe gales. Moving up towards day 10, we keep the winds in from the west or from the southwest, but as we go beyond day 10 to the end of the first week of February, look at this, winds are going into the north again, so this is pulling off a northerly cold snap as we go into the second week of February. Again, it's not sustained. The next low is coming in off the Atlantic, although you'll notice heights are rising over Scandinavia, so this low pressure heading in off the Atlantic at the end of ensemble member number 5, it's not coming in with that much conviction. Band of rain could possibly turn to snow as it hits that colder air. It wouldn't take much to set up a Scandinavian high there, so that finishes up looking quite interesting. Ensemble member number 6 has some mild southwesterly winds in a week's time, and quite wet and windy too, going into more extended range. Up to and beyond day 10, we keep things looking pretty flat, keep wind in from the west, so it remains mild and also potentially rather unsettled as well. Heading in towards the end of ensemble member number 6, we eventually start to move low pressure away to the east and begin to pull some colder air down from the north. So that's a little bit of a cold snap in the second week of February with ensemble member number 6. Ensemble member number 7 looks mild, wet and windy, excuse me, again, next weekend, and this low pressure continues to head in from off the Atlantic. And up to day 10 and beyond day 10, we stay quite mild and flat and westerly with ensemble member number 7. So I don't think this one's going to do anything particularly cold at all. This is a different option, again, with winds generally coming in from the south with ensemble member number 7. That's probably one of the mildest options with the ensemble members. Ensemble member number 8, mild, wet and windy in a week's time. Winds in from the southwest, then the winds start to turn into the northwest. A little bit of amplification is trying to get going around day 10, 5th of February. We're trying to reach this high pressure a little bit further northwards and get wind into the north. A little cold snap there comes off around a day, around the 6th of February, and then we're back into those mild west or southwesterlies once again. No sign of any genuine blocking at the moment still with these ensemble members. They are just hinting at the chance of a few cold snaps, though, through the first couple of weeks of February. This is ensemble member number 8, with winds in from the west or from the southwest next Sunday, so it's looking quite mild next weekend. And then heading up towards day 10, this is how we're looking. So still unsettled, a little bit colder around day 10, 5th of February, and then into the extended range. We keep low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic. We begin to have a go at building up some higher pressure to the northeast, but I think the Atlantic is going to be too sort of buoyant to allow any high pressure to get going to the northeast. We finish up on some member number 9, looking wet, windy and quite stormy, but heights are rising gradually to the northeast. This is ensemble member number 10. We're halfway through and we're looking quite unsettled in a week's time, but not as mild with that one as some of the options have been. Very unsettled there around the 3rd, 4th of February, a little bit stormy, outbreaks of heavy rain and gale force winds sweeping in from the Atlantic. Bit of a cold snap around day 10 itself, the 5th of February, winds swing into the north, and then this next low comes through, and as that clears away, that pulls down a genuine northerly there as we go into the 7th of February, so that is a little bit of a cold snap too. However, it's not long before winds are backing into the west and southwest again, and here we go with ensemble member number 10 looking quite wet and windy and relatively mild as we get to the end of it on the 11th of February. This is ensemble member number 11 with winds in from the southwest next weekend, so that one looks mild for next weekend, potentially very mild. And as we go up towards day 10, we keep those mild westerly winds coming in from off the Atlantic Ocean. Moving into extended range of number 11, so we keep things mild with this one. High pressure remains to our south, low pressure is out to the north and the west. So that's just a continuation of mild or very mild conditions into the 2nd week of February. Probably a bit drier though with that one. Number 12 looks not quite as mild for next Sunday and quite unsettled too, with winds coming in from a westerly direction. Let's see what happens with this one. So we move through up to day 10. With ensemble member number 12, and yes, we've got high pressure down to our southwest, and we still remain mild up to 5th of February, which is day 10. Then the high pressure sort of pulls out to the west of us as we go into the extended range. So we're turning very cold across many northern and central parts of Europe with this ensemble member. Winter really biting there, but we remain on the mild side of the ridge up to the end of this ensemble member. So high pressure remains to our south, low pressure up to the north. It looks like it could be going to get into a position to set up a cold snap though, just beyond that point. Ensemble member number 13, wet and windy with winds in from the west in a week's time. Moving up towards day 10, we find high pressure ridges close to the country, so that brings a little bit drier and cold weather around day 10, which is the 5th of February. Moving into the extended range with ensemble member number 13, we keep winds generally coming from the west or from the southwest too, and high pressure is close to the country, so for England and Wales probably quite dry and frosty into the 2nd week of February, wet and windy up in the north. Number 14 looks like that, so a little bit cooler for next weekend compared to some of the ensemble members that we've seen, and then low pressure moving in as we get towards day 10, looking very unsettled, quite wet and windy for day 10. And then as we move into the extended range, turning wind into the north, trying to build some high pressure as well, so that turns drier and colder into the 2nd week of February. And we keep that high pressure going, centred across kind of Denmark and Germany, so that keeps us dry and cold and frosty there into the 2nd week of February. Nowhere near as unsettled with that ensemble member. So there's quite a few options here as we get into this 2nd week of February, quite a bit of uncertainty. And then we're up to number 15, so this one with westerly winds and not particularly mild next weekend as we go up towards day 10. That's how we look, so winds swinging to the north there with ensemble member number 15. That's a northerly cold snap, doesn't last very long though. And then winds are backing into west and southwest again, going very mild with number 15. High pressure sets up over France. We bring up a very mild west or southwesterly wind. We aimed up on the 11th of February looking like we're having a go at trying to turn wind into the north, but heights are refusing to fall to our south, so that keeps us relatively mild up to the 11th of February. The key to getting cold weather is to get the high pressure to our south to move and to lower the heights across central and southern parts of Europe and send the jet stream southwards as well. Ensemble member number 16, again different scenario for next Sunday. This one looks quite wet and windy, and then as we move up towards day 10, high pressure begins to build in from the west and from the southwest, so that turns us dry. It could be quite frosty under that area of high pressure, especially for England and Wales. And then as we get towards the end of ensemble member number 16, we're just back into mild west or southwesterly again. And this is ensemble member number 17, wet and windy on Sunday. So quite a few options for as early as a week's time, actually, maybe a bit surprisingly. And then up to day 10, we start to get this high pressure ridging up from the southwest. That again brings a fair amount of mild weather with it, particularly northern and western parts of the country. Heading into the second week of February, this is looking quite flat, quite westerly, up to the second week of February, maybe a little bit on the stormy side as well. Ensemble member number 18 is unsettled next weekend, next Sunday, quite wet and windy. And then as we move in towards day 10, that's how we're looking. So high pressure again, just out to our southwest. We are bringing down some colder air into Scandinavia. We're just on the periphery of that, really, but maybe some colder air into the eastern and northeastern part of the country with that one. Heading into extended range with ensemble member number 18, we start to try and move high pressure up to Scandinavia. So this is going to have a go again, the wind into the east. That's the first one that we've seen, really, that pulls off a proper Scandinavian high. You see, it is struggling to get wind into the east, so that's because there's still a lot of buoyancy in the Atlantic, and that's how we finish up. Actually, that Scandinavian high gets pushed back in towards western Russia by the low pressures driving in off the Atlantic. That's the first one we've seen, but tries to get us into a genuinely blocked setup, though, with high pressure over Scandinavia. Number 19 looks like that, quite stormy as we go into next Sunday. Winds in from the northwest, and there's strong winds too. And then as we move up towards day 10, we have high pressure just down to our southwest, bringing in some slightly milder air from off the Atlantic at that point. Let's see what happens with this one in the extended range. So this just stays quite flat. Low pressure continues to drive in from off the Atlantic. Although the jet stream is digging southwards with this one. So again, if we could roll on a few more days, we would possibly find high pressure beginning to build over Scandinavia. And then finally, we've got ensemble member number 20, which looks mild, wet and windy in a week's time with a southwesterly. Moving up to day 10, high pressure then starts to build up from the south. That's turning us drier and possibly a bit colder too. And then heading into extended range, this high pressure becomes quite a significant feature, covering much of northern Europe, actually. It is having a go at reaching up towards Scandinavia as well. So this is a drier, colder, frostier option as we move into the second week of February. That's how we look at the end of ensemble member number 20. The high pressure is centred just to our northwest. It looks like it's going to try and reach towards Greenland, though. So that, again, could be setting up something quite a lot colder for the middle part of February. There are a few options here, and some of them are leading towards colder conditions. So this is probably the most interesting set of ensembles that we've done with Ensembles Watch so far this winter. There's not a huge amount to go, but there are certainly more than one or two hints of the possibility of something a bit colder setting up as we go into the second week of February in particular. The last thing I can show you is the upper air temperature ensemble graph, looking at London as the last place that we look with this. So you have got a bit of a cold snap coming up through the next couple of days. And there will be a bit of wind shear potentially about up in the north. We get through to the second half next week, and things go very mild. I mean, see, there's a gradual decline taking place through the first week into the second week of February. Gradual decline in the temperature. There's a lot of scatter. There's a lot of up and down going on. And there are a few colder outlier members as well, these ones down here, but of course most of those ensemble members, as we saw, were still relatively mild even into the second week of February. But several of them look like they could possibly be setting up something colder beyond that. So it is possible that February is going to deliver something a little bit more wintry. I wouldn't expect much through the first half of the month. There may be a few little cold snaps in there through the first half of the month, but I wouldn't expect to set up a big blocking feature through the first half of the month. We will probably have to have some kind of sun stratospheric warming over the Arctic before we can set up genuine blocking. So it could be the second half of the month, sort of mid-month into second half of the month, where we may get a little bit more wintry potential coming along. But of course, we shall wait and see about that. Overall, probably still relatively mild through the first week of February, and maybe even into the second week of February. But with a little bit of wintry potential beyond that, maybe. Right, so that's it for your videos for today. Tomorrow, we're going to have a week to 10-day video update, and I might do Snow Watch. I'm still debating whether there's enough, really, through Monday and Tuesday to justify doing a Snow Watch. There will be snow around. It will be primarily over high ground and up in the north. So you may get Snow Watch tomorrow, but I'll decide when I go through the charts tomorrow morning and see whether there's enough to warrant it. But definitely a week to 10-day video update coming up tomorrow. That's all for now then, and thanks for watching.